I messed up tonight. I lost another fight. I still mess up, but I'll just start again. I keep falling down. I keep on hitting the ground. I always get enough to see what's next. Birds don't just fly, they fall down and get up. Nobody learns without getting it wrong. I won't give up, no, I won't give in till I reach the end and then I'll start again. No, I won't leave, I wanna try everything. I wanna try even though I could fail.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Zootopia Minute podcast, episode 18. We are now Lego. We are the minute-by-minute podcast where we review and analyze the movie Zootopia, the award-winning movie Zootopia, 1 minute at a time. And this week, I am back. I'm Choco, and I'm joined with my co-host, Simul. Say hi.
Hi, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, and we have a very nice minute because it's our first real introduction. Well, we had the introduction of my fox husband, Nick Wilde, last
Yes.
episode, but this episode we get to see him in action. So our minute begins when the elephant moves out of the way and we reveal Nick, and it ends when Nick goes all Morpheus on us and he asks, the blue or the red popsicle?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Judy follows Nick into the ice cream parlor where she sees Nick and another little fox, and they want
little
ice
fox.
cream.
A cute little
An
fennec
adorable
fox.
little fennec fox, yes, with the giant ears used for radiating heat away from their bodies because they live in the desert, don't they?
They are adorable. And actually, they're one of the few legal fox species that you could legally own as a pet in the United States.
That's pretty cool. I wonder how many people do, though.
I've seen videos on YouTube, so there's some states that allow red foxes, which is what Nick is, to be a pet, but I think every state allows a fennec fox to be a pet, and they're just like the most little adorable thing ever. You could teach them
they're not
how
very
to.
big. They're pretty manageable, I imagine.
Like you could bathe them in a sink. That's really cute.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, really cool minute to talk about this time, continuing right on from the last time, where at the end of the last minute, Judy seemed rather suspicious that there was a fox walking down the street with a rather smug or sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, but like a look on his face like something's up. And so now we see what his true destination was. He's going into an ice cream parlor run by elephants. Elephant ice cream.
Yes. Big ice cream cones, big scoops of ice cream. I think the scoop of ice cream was even bigger than the little fennec fox we saw.
Yeah, and it was way bigger than the dish that the elephant was putting it into. This is another example of where this movie shows just a huge variance in scale between some of these different species that have to all live together. And it makes you think, so obviously the city's divided up by biome, right, by climate type. But also, do you suppose it's divided up by, are there elephant neighborhoods and fox neighborhoods? Does it get that specific?
Well, it seems like it because I guess the guy running the ice cream parlor was kind of mentioning to Nick, "Oh, I don't expect you foxes to be out here at
During
in the daytime."
daylight hours.
Yeah.
Like, are foxes nocturnal?
Yeah,
Nothing is a nocturnal really in this movie.
It depends on species, but yeah, I guess, and it's also probably connecting with stereotypes and whatever that they think foxes are nocturnal.
Well, that's so interesting because it seems like it's not just animals that foxes would prey on that have a negative impression of foxes. It's even this elephant being like, "Hey, wise guy, what you doing in my ice cream parlor?
What you doing in my 50s diner, my Dexter Jexter?
What are you
50s
doing in
diner.
my 50s diner, you fox? Get
Actually,
on out of here."
Yeah.
I'm walking
Shout out
here.
to actually Star Wars Minute, which I think they're covering the Clone Wars right now. And I was just thinking about the Dexter Jexter's 50s diner in Clone Wars and how it was kind of similar to the big elephant in this 50s ice cream parlor.
I wonder, they really have to think about which animals are going to be fulfilling which jobs. Like, they really thought, like, now, what would be the funniest animal to have running this ice cream parlor? Because the way they're doing it, you can see elephants in the wild, of course, use their trunks for a lot of different things. And here, these elephants are using their trunks to dispense ice cream, to scoop it up out of the bin, to put it in the dish. And then we get some nice suction action of some peanuts to go on top.
Which doesn't really happen like that in real life, but...
No. Well, they do that with water, don't they? And then they squirt it into their mouth.
Yeah, they do that with water, but solid objects like that would
Solids
not
would be
possible.
yeah. It doesn't look comfortable. You see the look in this elephant's face, and there's like this. You see the bulges from the peanuts coming up through his trunk, and it's like boom, 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 and he's like ugh, and then he shoots them out of his nose onto the ice cream, which I'm sure the customers appreciate greatly. Nose peanuts, awesome.
If they knew about it.
My favorite.
So the looking in the Zootopia concept art book, the cafe is actually called Jumbo Peck's Cafe. It's inspired by actually an 1890s style ice cream parlor with similar motifs.
1890s. That's very interesting.
And apparently they have Egyptian motifs on the outside. So if you look on the concept book and if you look in the movie, the outside of the ice cream parlor has some Egyptian-style elephant features, trunks, ears, and whatnot. And I was mostly curious about how they designed the elephant because if you look at the movie, the elephants kind of look like elephants you see in different Disney movies, like in Tarzan and Dumbo.
Jungle Book.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if there is a kind of specific way to design Disney elephants, but if there was, they didn't mention it. They actually said when designing the elephants for this movie, they actually combined qualities from both African and Asian elephants. Where African elephants have the bigger ears and tusks, Asian elephants have two distinct bumps on their heads and wider faces. So they combine them into one elephant type.
A hybrid master elephant.
Elephant master race.
Yeah, I don't know. Disney certainly does have specific ways of drawing certain things. And I think what I would notice maybe about these elephants is their brow line. They have a very expressive brow line that's just one continuous sort of muscle above their eyes that can go very high up and very low down. It kind of, you know what, it reminds me of Gromit from Wallace and Gromit, the claymation, how most of Gromit's expressions or his emotions are communicated through his facial expressions because he doesn't talk. He's the dog, right? Mm-hmm. And so his one like big continuous brow muscle above his eyes will go up and down and flex in different ways. And it's kind of, I don't know, the elephant kind of reminded me of that, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a common way for big bulky creatures to kind of display.
Because you can't see his mouth underneath his trunk very well either.
Yeah.
So it's probably a common way of just getting around that is using the eyes for expression.
Yeah. Another Disney character that has a very, very similar brow-like expression is actually Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. How if you notice, Tigger has two small eyes, but he has one large brow over them, and he uses that one brow to convey a lot of emotions.
Come to think, yeah, all the Winnie the Pooh characters have really beady eyes. Even Christopher Robin, his eyes are just dots, I think, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, he's human, so yeah.
He's human, but I think even his eyes are just dots. Or it's the thing where they draw the outline of his eyeballs, but it's still flesh tone through the whole thing, like those old Hanna-Barbera cartoons used to do as well. I don't know, maybe it's just easier to draw it that way or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm loving the designs of these elephants. And the way they're dispensing this ice cream, man, you'd think that's not very clean.
Hygienic, yeah.
Hygienic. I'd have some issues with that if I were a customer. But then again, it seems to cater to elephants, so maybe elephants just don't care about that kind of thing.
Yeah. So obviously we now have a situation where we have two smaller animals, so we have two different species of foxes trying to buy a large jumbo pop, which I guess we'll wait till next minute to see what happens. But yeah, there is a big size difference between these things, and it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, how a mouse in this society might have to work less because they don't need as much to eat as an elephant would. Like that one jumbo pop that the elephant has on display could probably feed about 30 foxes or like 1,000 hamsters or mice or something. So interesting that the elephants might have to work harder to get the money to afford things like ice cream pops. So it's curious to see how this country or this society is divided based on mass and how much they will need to consume.
Well, here's another interesting thought. Now we're on this topic, is it's called a jumbo pop, right? But is it jumbo in relation to the elephants? Like, would the elephants agree, yes, this is a large popsicle? Or would that be a normal size popsicle for the elephants? In which case, doesn't calling it a jumbo pop imply that they are open to having smaller customers, despite the fact that this guy doesn't seem to be too keen on having Nick in his establishment?
Well, we don't see it in this movie. I don't think we see it in this minute specifically, but in the concept art book, there's actually a sign for scoops of ice cream, and it shows jumbo ice cream and junior ice cream. And the jumbo scoop is what we saw the elephant scoop earlier in the minute, the big round globe shaped.
Yeah. And and again, the bowl there was small. It was like too small for the scoop. So again, it's as if it's designed to accommodate.
Yeah. So that's a jumbo one based on the concept art book. And the junior scoop is basically what would fit naturally in the bowl. So I'm assuming that, jumbo size is specifically maybe for elephants, or maybe it's big for elephants, and that they probably do have size that could cater to smaller animals. Like, I mean, aside from creatures like hippos and rhinos, I think they would fit perfectly fine in this environment, but I'm sure they must cater to creatures like alpaca, or that's the first animal I can think of that's smaller, but alpaca.
Why are alpacas on your mind?
I don't know. There you go. Teddy bears? I don't know.
Alpacas are cool, though. They're like llamas, but sort of fluffier. I don't know if we see any in this movie. They're cool animals, though.
Yep. So we end on the minute where we have kind of the Morpheus-like speech. Oh, we don't know whether the Finnick Fox is pointing to the red or the blue popsicle. And I'm wondering how Judy's going to react to this entire situation. She came in there with some type of predetermined prejudice that this fox is up to no good. And now she sees this fox is a father and has a little kid he's trying to feed. A kid who's a different species, but
Yeah, it's very interesting because, I mean, she goes into the shop like ready for something to go down. And we see as, her suspicion is somewhat affirmed by the guy running the shop, the elephant running the shop, is also like, hey, what are you doing here, you dumb fox, She's like, oh, no, it totally is legit. My suspicions are valid, and I'm going to unclip the button from my fox spray, my very feminine pink fox repellent mace, because something's about to go down, basically. So Judy's interaction here is rather interesting, how she's so ready for action, but then she sees this guy's just here with his kid. And so she's kind of thinking, oh, you know what, maybe I jumped to conclusions here.
Yeah, maybe she's questioning her own judgment, so we'll see about that. Mm-hmm. And then I guess, how was the week for you? Since it's been a week since our last episode. How would you say?
Yeah, or a week and some days, maybe, depending on when we get this thing edited. It's not been too bad. Just working mainly in the great wide world of actual reality. On the date we're actually recording this, the latest sort of interesting news to come out has been that the 9th District Court of Appeals, they ruled against reinstating Trump's immigration ban. So that just happened as we're recording this. That's the latest thing to go on here.
Which is curious.
It's curious. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it depends, I guess, if it will have an effect on the states that the 9th District Court is in charge of, which would be your state, Washington, and would be my home state, California, but not my current state, Texas. So,
well, I mean, it affects the whole country, though.
Yeah. True.
But what's likely going to happen next is this could potentially make it up to the Supreme Court now, and we'd see a Supreme Court ruling on whether or not this sort of thing is constitutional. This ban based on like all these different countries, which a lot of people are calling a Muslim ban. A lot of people have that perception of this is the intent, is to keep Muslims out of the country. Whether or not that's actually true is up for debate, but it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Like, this is going to be a historic thing. So much history happening before our very eyes, and it's only been a few weeks that he's been president.
Yeah, I don't want to make any judgments, since it's tricky times we're living in. But historically, if as a American historian, every time we look back and we see that there are bans against specific groups of immigrants, the groups that enacted these bans are normally always on the wrong side of history. So we had the bans against the Irish, the Germans, Japanese, the Italians, the Jews, and the Chinese as well. And for the most part, the groups who enacted the bans are normally on the wrong side of history. So who knows how history will see this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there have been a number of like temporary bans, and part of the question here was the way that Trump set this up. Is it going to sort of just carry on ad infinitum indefinitely? It was set up to be like, what, a 90-day period or something, but it's the type of thing where people are perhaps nervous that it could easily just be extended for some indefinite amount of time, which is certainly a valid worry.
I'm actually more curious why the ban, right when he got into office. Shouldn't there have been like a big event? Like, I would understand if there was a ban if there was like a terrorist attack and these specific groups of people were responsible for the terrorist attack. I would understand why there would be a 90-day ban, but in fact, we have not had any really damaging. We have not had any major terrorist attacks from, I don't think, any Syrian refugees since they started coming here. That's
a point a lot of people are making, is that a lot of the countries you think would make sense to be put on a ban list, if any make sense, those countries aren't included. Like, most of the terrorists in 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia, which is not on the list.
Yeah, I think I don't have the facts in front of me to double check, but some of the news I've been hearing is that the specific countries that should be on the ban list that are not, like, so the countries in the Middle East that are not on the ban list are ones with business connections to Trump. And the ones that are on the ban list are ones that Trump has no business relationships with. I can't double check that to be sure, but that's something I heard, which, if that's the case, I know that's a big conflict of interest. As president of the United States, you can't put personal business in front. And I know that's one of the things that people are saying should be grounds for impeachment, is that he seems to want to prioritize his family business in lieu of being president.
Even things involving just his family, like Nordstrom now is dropping Ivanka Trump's fashion line, and he tweeted about that. It's like, come on, this doesn't deserve your attention, honestly. Like, you're giving attention to these little things that honestly just make all the stereotypes, like the impressions people have of you, it just reinforces them. You just seem like you're whining the whole time.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people who, I guess, voted for Trump, they are now... I've seen a lot of tweets and posts by people saying, I voted for you, but please just get off Twitter. You should focus on running the country and stuff.
He needs to ditch the Twitter account, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with 4 years of this. Oh, goodness gracious. But, you know what? In other news, unrelated to politics, let's see, what else? Oh, yeah, the Super Bowl!
How did we
The
forget
Super
that?
Bowl happened. We didn't talk about that at all. That was an interesting game. That was actually crazy, because it looked like the Falcons were going to win for quite a while, and then the Patriots came up right around the end.
Yeah, they said this would have been... No Super Bowl team has ever come back from winning from such a big difference. This is the first.
It was also the first ever overtime in a Super Bowl match.
I know, that was crazy.
It was so
I'm
close.
surprised that the Falcons actually lost, because I was like, wow, they had like 21 points ahead of the Patriots. And it's like, and it's not even halftime. Like, they're going to win. But,
yeah.
I had no team going into this, considering my home state, California, now has 4 NFL teams. I'm surprised not a single one got in. But whatever.
I was just rooting for not Patriots, as many people in the Seattle area were.
Yeah, I normally root for the underdog. If none of the 4 California teams make it, and the Ravens don't make it, I normally root for the underdog, and the Falcons are the underdog. They have not won a single Super Bowl yet, but...
Oh, really?
Damn Tom Brady.
Tom Brady is a Trump supporter, and I think I saw some tweets after their win saying, like, the Patriots is a sign of white supremacy that they won the game. It's like, can we keep...
I was like, who was it?
It's football. Keep your grossness out of the football, the ball of foot.
I know.
Stop
it's
it.
like, well, actually, both sides were kind of dwelling in that, because I remember one of the anti-Trump people tweeting, I guess, to Richard Spencer, you're being beaten by a colored team that's from a gay town, and I don't know what they tweeted, and it was, say, in your face. And then, of course, whoever the neo-Nazi guy basically just retweeted that back after they lost and said, this proves that an all-white team that supports Trump can win. And it's just like, both sides were dwelling in it, and it's not okay. So
yeah, it's football's supposed to be an escape from all that nastiness,
Yeah.
Oh well, nothing
Whatever.
is sacred anymore. Not even American football. Well, there's certainly quite a lot that remains to be seen in the coming days, weeks, months, years, however long his presidency lasts. But that just about does it for us this week. Thank you so much for listening to Zootopia Minute. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like us on Facebook. Please follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube. You can email us at zootopiaminute@gmail.com with any comments, questions, art, anything you want to send us. We really appreciate that. And hey, if you really enjoyed the podcast, one of the greatest favors you can do for us is to spread the word. Tell other people about it. We really want to expand to new audiences, and we kind of rely on you guys to help us, spread our wings and get out there. So please feel free to show your friends Zootopia Minute if you enjoyed it and think they would too. That'll be it for this week. Catch you later.
You have a good day, everybody. Bye.